Alexandrian Codex Hoi 4 Kaiserreich, United States of America. The May Day riots. May Day, International Workers' Day, is a holiday that the Socialist Party celebrates with numerous parades and speeches, and has since its founding. Generally, things are peaceful, though there have been confrontations with the police. However, this time, things are more violent than normal. Clashes between socialists and local police backed by the AFP have occurred around the country. The question is, who is at fault? Socialists declare that things were peaceful till the police and the AFP goons arrived on the scene. The AFP is saying socialists began by assaulting ununionized workers and have blurry photos they claim are guns the SPA were brandishing. Yeah, the police were at fault. I would like the SPA to get in power, but hey, if I can hurt our stability, I'm into that. I am very into that. The police were at fault, clearly. I mean, in reality, I would argue that the police were at fault in that situation. Panama backs down after hearing of American support for Costa Rica and not willing to escalate the situation into a full-blown conflict. The forces of Panama have begun to back down across the region. This is a victory for American diplomacy abroad. The Monroe Doctrine stands. Do it, though. Do it. Yeah, there's a lot of events in 1936. There are a lot of events throughout the game, but especially early on, there's so many moving pieces. Is Poland elected a No, it still hasn't elected a new government. Wow. Hope they go socialist. And Flanders-Wallonia hasn't split apart. That's new. Progressives flock to the SPA. Minnesota, which has long been a bastion of the progressive, Senator Floyd Olson has finally flipped. Many are turning away from Senator Olson on the direction of the international... Oh god, what's the IWW? Oh my god, Alex. You're a fucking member. Why can I not? International Workers of the World. That's what I thought, but had to check. And Socialist Party of America. Various unions have held rallies for the Socialist Party of America, and attendance far outstrips our ability to outshout them. Is it something in the water? Yeah. Lead, probably. Wow, yeah, the socialists are almost at 20%. Dang. I'm not even trying to get them support this time around, and they're out supporting everyone. Outperforming everyone, I should say. Definitely not out supporting. Oh, this is on speed 4. No wonder it feels slow. Yeah, you're losing ground. Unsurprising. Unsurprising. What? I have planes in reserve? Oh, I've finally built one plane. My god. The Hawking Plan. Junior Democratic Senator Thomas Hawking has introduced a bill, which will see the relief efforts largely funded by taxing American corporations in exchange for hefty tax considerations down the line, once the economy is recovered. This caused considerable controversy in some corners, especially among AFP and SPA supporters. Others say it would be far too easy for the next government to reverse the decision, leaving the corporations holding the bag and even worse off than they were before. Regardless, there's enough support to see the bill pass, and as an added bonus, the agency to coordinate the efforts could be placed in either Minneapolis or in Charlotte. But the added bonus to new employment, weakening what are AFP and SPA strongholds. Yeah, we'll put in Charlotte. Well, we'll put in North Dakota. Yeah, these are the Dakotas, North Carolina. New Industrial Act. We need to kickstart heavy industry in America's heartlands, where the Great Depression is hit the hardest. Good luck. My god, we've actually finished a military factory. Death of Big Bill Haywood. Today, one of the titans of the industrial workers of the world, William Big Bill Haywood, has passed away. His death marks the passing of a torch. Elizabeth Gurley Flynn spoke at the funeral, saying, "History has a long-range perspective. It ultimately passes stern judgment on tyrants and vindicates those who fought, suffered, were in prison, and died for human freedom against political oppression and economic slavery." Many other leaders within various union organizations, including his rivals in the AFL, also spoke at his funeral, as well as leaders of the Socialist Party of America. Jack Reed also spoke at the funeral, ending his speech with some of Haywood's quotes. "If the workers are organized, all they have to do is put their hands in their pockets. They've got the capitalist class whipped. A strike is an incipient revolution. Many large revolutions have grown out of a small strike. Remember, you're fighting for more than your own fight. You're fighting for the entire working class, and you must stand together." William Dudley Big Bill Haywood was a founding member and leader of the industrial workers of the world, and a member of the executive committee of the Socialist Party of America. During the first 2 decades of the 20th century, he was involved in several important labor battles, including Colorado labor wars, the Lawrence textile strike, and other textile strikes in Massachusetts and New Jersey. Haywood was an advocate of industrial unionism, a labor philosophy that favors organizing all workers in an industry under one union, regardless of specific trade or skill level. This was in contrast to craft unions that were prevalent at the time, such as the AFL. He believed that all workers of all ethnicities should be united, favored direct action over political action. He was often targeted by prosecutors. An attempt to prosecute him in 1907 for alleged involvement in the murder of Frank Steunenberg failed, but in 1918 he was one of 101 IWW members jailed for anti-war activity during the first Red Scare. He was sentenced to 21 years. In 1921, while driving out of prison during an appeal of his conviction, Haywood fled to Soviet Russia, where he spent the remaining years of his life. But in this case, Bill couldn't flee to Russia. There's no Soviet Union to flee to, my dude. Could have gone to France, I suppose. Or England, but... Ah, raining in England. Accurate. The South has long been considered the heartland of the Democratic Party, and it was for a long time. But this may not be the case for much longer. Polls show a massive spike in voter registration at the AFP. On a radio broadcast, Huey Long spoke at length about the share our wealth and his plans for America. It seems the AFP is growing stronger by the day. Hell yeah, Construction 1 is finally done. Alright. Excavation 1. Advancements in drilling techniques allow us to excavate resources that were impossible to touch earlier. To reach earlier? That must say reach. Yes, to reach earlier. Gotta touch those resources. Okay, so we have a couple of new military factories done. It's not nothing. It will matter in the long run, and hopefully it will help. It's only a couple so far, but we're probably gonna finish. It's only June. A couple more. Why is this so good? Ah, Construction 1. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that helped out a lot. The Great Heat Wave of 1936. A heat wave has struck the continental United States and Canada. The most severe heat wave in modern history of North America. Great heat wave starting in June went up over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, as drought conditions worsened due to a lack of rain. Now in July, the heat has reached all-time records. In Steele, North Dakota, temperatures have reached 121 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius. In Ohio, temperatures have reached 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 Celsius. It was close to setting a record high set in 1934. This comes in a time of major political unrest. With the America First Council, a major force in Midwest politics, and socialist and syndicalist forces gathering strength in the Great Lakes region, the drought is continuing. Over 3,000 reported deaths have been linked to it. Many people are suffering from heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Farmers across the continent saw their worst harvest on record, causing corn and wheat prices to skyrocket. And this heat wave does not seem to be giving up anytime soon. This just isn't our year. Oh, buddy, you have no idea. Oof. Yeah, the socialists actually have popular support right now. That's very strange. It's only 16%. The New Zealand crisis. The crisis appears to be deepening in the Australasian Union. As news organizations report a severing of ties between the Australasian state of New Zealand and the mainland. Support in New Zealand for a new syndicalist government has never been strong, and reports from the state offered safe haven to New Guard paramilitary forces fleeing the mainland after failing to overthrow the Canberra government in a recent coup attempt. With portions of the Australasian Navy and Army already defecting to New Zealand, the prospect of war looms. One which, it is feared, may even draw the Entente into a final showdown with the Australasian syndicalists. How alarming. I mean, they're paternal government autocrats, even though they have a 38% support for their Labour Party. Okay, coup d'etat in Siam. News emerged from Bangkok today that a group of officers in intelligentsia, calling themselves the Kanaratsadon, or People's Party, had successfully seized control of the government. Key government officials are under arrest, and the king and his heir are said to be safe and well looked after by the new government. A statement issued by the new prime minister announced that this was not a military coup, but a peaceful transfer of power while a constitution is put into place. It's fine. It's fine. Ah, there it is. Good. This war probably won't blow up very big. But, importantly for us, it should draw in the Entente. It should pull in the Dominion of Canada, French Republic, Dominion of India, and I guess it should also pull in the West Indies Federation. And if their attention is over here, that keeps them from intervening in the U.S. Civil War. The New Industrial Act, an offshoot of the Hawking Plan, relief efforts will see new industrial growth in several vital areas, primarily in the military sector. Several of these new companies are planned for Denver, Colorado. At least one other can be promoted, and the cabinet believes that putting them down in depressed areas, which are currently strongholds of the AFP or SPA, may see their influence in those areas drastically weakened. Let's see. Minnesota? Nah, we're putting it in Tennessee. This summer heat has turned into violence and blood. A city starting with Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, good old Charleston. Throughout the country engaged in bloody racial riots as whites beat up blacks and burn black businesses. The number of lynchings that occurred throughout the country spiked during the summer. In response, the African Blood Brotherhood and elements of the SPA and CSA have begun arming and fighting back. The Socialist Party of America have defended their actions and have furnished blurry photos they claim show AFP members and lynch mobs. Can this get any worse? It can, and it will. Yeah, Oh, new background? Yeah, none of this is new. It just used to be covered up by a green screen. And I used to be up against this wall instead of in the corner here. But now, I'm not, like, trapped in a 3-foot box. it's very nice. I really like this apartment. And I think the sound is okay. I'm still recording on a glass table, which is not the best, but it's okay. It's okay. I've kind of been meaning to hang up a green screen like behind the chair, but I just kind of hate how it looks when I'm not streaming. Margaret Mitchell published today her novel Gone with the Wind, which immediately became a bestseller, and may be nominated for the next Pulitzer Prize. Even Hollywood is taking note and planning a film adaptation to be released next year. Good luck with that. Set in the Old South during the American Civil War, many see it as an analogy for the strained political situation in the United States. Many American First Southerners claim the novel supports their cause. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Is that even a line in the... Oh, should have done this earlier. Shipyard funding scheme. Two major shipbuilding companies are vying for federal relief funding. The one we select could mean a large number of new jobs in the region. Trouble is, which do we focus on? Oh hey, free military factories? Just put them into transport planes, baby. That's all America needs right now. Yeah, if I want to be a real cliche YouTuber, I need like a bookshelf back here with a bunch of nerd culture shit on it. I have nerd culture stuff around my apartment, but not directly in front of the camera. I'm like, oh, how did that get there? Oh, how strange. I don't know. I'm not hating. It is a good look. It's probably better than this. Like, the lighting in that corner is not great right now. The void does kind of just suck things up when it gets over here. And the contrast between, like, my shoulder and the void, not great. Yeah, these are real pro strats here, just building transport planes. Not even transport planes and troops to drop off of them, just transport planes and not trading for not trading for the material, so I'm making 3 a year out of whatever rubber scraps we can find. White sun over China. It's been more than 2 months since the League of 8 provinces ceased to exist and war broke out on the shores of the Yangtze River. With chaos reigning in eastern China, reliable news has been harder to obtain than ever before. Despite censorship implemented by warlords and the Qing government, a young journalist made his way with cleverness and courage through the war-torn lands of the former League to the south, the mountains of the Fujian base area of the Kuomintang. Edgar Snow, who came to Shanghai in 1928 from the United States, works for an English newspaper in the city. His bravery to cross front lines and open sympathy to the cause of the KMT has opened his way to interview the leadership of the uprising. Today, his hastily printed book, White Sun Over China, hit the stores and found great interest with Western readership. Besides the talks, his interview partners, he paints a vivid... This is a double space. There's a double space right here. This is 2 spaces. Weird. A picture of life in the KMT-controlled parts of China. Different from warlord rule, but not without strife. His stories, while clearly picking a side, still invoke sympathy for the KMT struggle all over the world, especially in leftist circles. Listen, I want the KMT to win. I've sent them literally our entire arsenal. They're still gonna lose. They have no military factories. And they've done nothing but lose ground. I'd say the cause is not looking great. Yeah. Well, my messy bed is over there. But yeah, you're right. I should just have the depressed apartment look behind me. I haven't left my apartment in 4 weeks. I haven't seen another human being in days. Gotta get that apocalypse look down just right. MacArthur has spoken to President Herbert Hoover privately about a contingency called War Plan White, a military plan for dealing with a possible armed uprising of U.S. citizens. The plan would call on MacArthur to take emergency action to protect the country and re-erect old barricades in Washington, D.C. This plan can be engaged even from outside of D.C. at the Washington Arsenal. While the plan has obviously not been made public, we at least see it as a contingency if the radicals enact one of their revolutions from within the government. But let's hope this is not needed. Lose that stability, baby. Who needs it? Not good enough praxis. Yeah. I mean, the KMT won one fight down here, but the aid we're sending them will not last forever. Isn't this... God, I haven't played in China. I don't remember any of the lore changes over here at all. I barely know who any of these fucking people are. It's fine. Those are like the only socialists in China. Yeah. Yeah. Rip. I'm just waiting for shit to get bad right now. Wow, I mean in the game and IRL, I suppose, but mostly in the game in this context. One complaint I have about playing the United States is it's a lot of fun up to and in the Civil War, but once you win the Civil War, it kind of peters out a little bit. A little bit. All I remember is the Japanese puppet has some disgusting events. Yeah, I've seen the Fengtian government just win multiple times. I've never played over here, but they seem mildly overpowered. The Treaty of Bucharest of 1918 ended the Weltkrieg for Romania, but at what cost? Romania was now dominated by German and Austrian industries. Most of her coastline was annexed by Bulgaria, and the Carpathian Mountains, separating Romania from Hungary, were put under firm Austro-Hungarian control. The humiliation Romania endured resulted in it devolving into a national populist dictatorship, led by the Conductor? Yeah, Conductor Cornelio Codriano and his Iron Guard set out to restore Romania to what they say it should have been, a titan of the Balkans. Their first major move is a large-scale military exercise seemingly in preparation to seize the Carpathians and perhaps the lands beyond. The world is changing. No, it isn't. Romania, all they're really good for is taking oil away from Germany and being a minor pain in the ass. The recent Siamese revolution, within the context of this mod anyway, within the Siamese revolution, while outwardly successful, has seen its popularity plummet. Taking advantage, a controversial yellow-covered dossier, the nickname for a proposed plan to overhaul the nation's economic systems and nationalize many industries, a red scare was whipped up. Chief of the Army Luang... Oh, that is gonna be a fun word. Ibonsongkram? Sure. Intervened just in time and declared martial law nationwide, widely believing to have dragged the nation back from the brink of civil war. The Iron Marshal apparently plans to rule as dictator himself until such a time he believes the nation is ready for the responsibility of democracy. Poland elects a new king. For almost 2 decades, the Polish throne is a shame they didn't go with the commune, boo. Polish throne has remained empty. After the end of the Weltkrieg, a regency council was convened to elect a new Polish king. However, constant interference and ineptitude had prevented the council from electing a king for all of these years. But now, after many weeks of intense debate inside the chambers of the Polish Regency Council, the decision was finally made to elect a new monarch to the long vacant Polish throne. The coronation of Fryderyk Christian was held at the Palace of Warsaw early in the morning. It has been followed by parades and celebration throughout the nation. It remains to be seen whether the new king can navigate the small Polish nation through the coming storms. Is he the independent one? Nah, he's the German puppet one. Okay. Yeah. My Romance languages are bad. Really, most of my language pronunciation is bad. My Chinese is like good for an American, but bad. My Spanish is bad. It's the one thing that's a little embarrassing about playing Paradox titles is I know I don't pronounce most shit right. The Battle of the Overpass. In Detroit, Michigan, the automotive capital of the world, Walter Reuther and Richard Frankenstein, the leaders of the United Auto Workers Association, have called a general strike against the Ford Motor Company and proclaimed themselves for unionism, not Fordism, demanding higher pay and fewer hours for automotive workers. At 2 p.m. today, a photographer from the Detroit Free Press asked to take a photo with the leaders of the UAW standing on the overpass with a Ford sign in the background. While they were posing, a group of 40 men from Ford's service department approached them from behind and began to beat them with batons. The group then continued their attack on some beret-wearing women present to pass out leaflets. So hurt us more than the unionists. Imagine that! Attacking unionists could piss them off, and my opinion on the wankiness of some of the countries in Kaiserreich. I think wonkiness and wankiness and a bit of like fanboyism is good in alternate history novels and games. It makes it a little less believable, maybe, but it makes it more interesting and dynamic, and for people who might not be otherwise interested, it's a better hook to get them interested and get them into the genre. A lot of ridiculousness and things that are maybe a step or two steps too far it makes it entertaining, right? And alternate history, as any good fiction is, should serve as a critique or analysis of actual history and actual politics. And having things be a bit absurd and a bit extra serves as a really good dramatic foil to reality. And that juxtaposition, in that gap, you can have a conversation about how things actually went and potentially how things could have gone. Like I do want to make the argument that I think the rapidity of the outbreak of the Second American Civil War in this mod is optimistic. Maybe it happens really fast, but a lot of the things that the game talks about and illustrates are lessons, are points that we can look at and draw upon, like the importance of unionizing, the importance of coalitions between different unions, different leftist movements, and how in this context, just like in real life Weimar Republic and in Italy, how demonstrating how fascist and socialist movements are both attacking the center in a way. Though in the United States now, fascist movements have been supported by the center, so that's a bit interesting. But it's, if you remove those dynamics from their real world counterparts and start talking about them in different contexts, it lets us start imagining, well, what kind of events and activities and steps would be necessary for a socialist revolution in the United States or in Canada or in Australia or anywhere else. It is a little divorced from reality, but I like it. Sure, I'd love a guidebook that is like strictly realistic, but I'm okay with this not being that. The Hawking Plan has led to two major shipbuilding companies vying for federal contract, one in New York City and the other in Corpus Christi. Both would mean a large number of jobs for the area and would be a boon for our control over the region. Problem is, contract has gotten out, and whichever city we don't choose will likely be enraged. Yeah, put in Texas. What could New Yorkers possibly do? The United Kingdom has incurred an enormous war debt to us during the Weltkrieg. That debt has been inherited by Canada. Well, it's unlikely Canada could repay it right now. Demanding repayment would appease isolationists in Congress. We believe will join the political fringe if not appeased. Yeah, fuck Canada. Who needs them? Yeah, Argentina's... South America's a little wonky, right? I've tried playing down here, but it's a bit much, yeah. Violence reaches the political theater. For some time, violence has mostly been between supporters of radical parties. However, recently, violence is now reaching the candidates and politicians themselves. Failed attempts on the lives of both Huey Long and Jack Reed have occurred in the past few months. Both gunmen shooting from a crowd, both failed, and both resulted in higher security. Several more local politicians have been stabbed during a campaign rally. Moreover, voters from both extremes are turning a blind eye to violence done by their enemies. Great, more violence. It's surprising that event doesn't lower stability more. I personally think Romania is a bit much. The whole axis down here is a little strange. What happens in South America is odd. Central America is a bit odd. I'm not sure about China. China's a lot better than it used to be, but I don't know if I'd call it good. I think India needs a bit more finesse with this interaction going on, and like the Spanish Civil War, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, it could, and you know, the mod is what, 0.11.3? It's a long way from 1.0, so they're continuing to work on it. The Legation Council votes on providing aid to Sichuan province. Now, Sichuan... Nope. 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 Which fucking map mode is it? No. Is it this one? This the one I want? No. Yeah, okay. It's fucking naval map mode. None of these are... Sichuan is, God. It's south of the... Where is this? Wow, this is not where I thought it was. Sichuan is a landlocked province in southwest China, occupying the Sichuan Basin and the easternmost part of the Tibetan Plateau. It's right here. It's right fucking here. It says it on the map. I'm blind. Yeah, the old version was kind of dumb, too, with big Argentina, but now Argentina has a really hard time, and I don't know. Definitely some more work needs to be done. For some of the third world countries, it feels like random European read the first paragraph of an article or two and turned them to 100. Yeah. That's mostly what this mod is. It's a lot of authors from the United States, Canada, and Northern Europe predominantly, and that's an excellent argument, an excellent case for why in fiction, why in political fiction, why in historical fiction, why in art, we need more voices from different demographics, why we need more artists from other parts of the world to be lifted up to be on the same platform as predominantly white Americans. You know, if we don't have these voices, if we don't have people whose families lived out these stories, who have a better grasp of these actual histories and the nuances of those histories, we can't portray them well. And this is a problem that even happens to Paradox in Paradox games. I mean, I feel like the portrayal of South America and really the Americas except for the US and maybe Canada in all of the Paradox titles is just pathetic. And really they need native authors, native writers, native coders to come in and talk about the experience of these peoples. And God, so much so for Africa. And India is better than it used to be, but it's still a lot of white people writing about other people's history and white people coding other people's history, and that's weird. Yeah, Sichuan is experiencing a terrible famine. Struggling to save its people, requested the Legation Council authorize aid to get new sources of grain until the land can recover. Many experts on Chinese politics, however, warn money sent to famine relief could just go into the warlords' pockets. We shall vote fairly. Let's see. I want to see how other people are voting. See some yeses, see some no's. Yeah, we'll vote yes. We're Americans. Yeah, definitely send them aid that I can't afford. Indochina declares independence. After the Weltkrieg, Germany seized French Indochina. But stability wasn't restored until Germany crushed the South China revolutionaries in 1926. Now, Indochinese nationalists and leftists under a coalition government called the Viet Minh have risen up against the colonial regime. Nguyen An Ninh, leader of the Viet Minh, declared the independence of Indochina. After a salute to the Internationale and World Revolution, he condemned the brutal oppression of the working class and affirmed the Indochinese workers' commitment to anti-imperialism and the liberation of colonial peoples. Observers agree that German media that they are just some weak peasants. The German garrison or even local police could easily suppress the rebels known as the Viet Cong. Yeah, definitely. The Indo-Chinese Union is not to be fucked with in this mod. They are ridiculously good. That's very stupid. I mean, in the United States, we largely ignore any immigrant population, but we really like to dismiss immigrant populations from here. When we talk about Latin Americans in this country, it's basically for white people synonymous with Mexicans or maybe Cubans, depending on where you're from. But there are so many other peoples and ideologies. Like we don't engage with like Latin pan-nationalism at all. We don't engage with the stories of how any of these countries got their independence at all. We don't even talk about how Mexico got its independence. Americans are very sheltered. Huey Long speaks. The Democratic Party and Republican Party were just like the old patent medicine drummer that used to come around our county. He had 2 bottles of medicine. He'd play the banjo and he'd sell 2 bottles of medicine. One bottle of medicine was called High Popalorum. Another one of the bottles called Low Popahirum. Finally, someone around there said, "Is there any difference between the 2 bottles?" "Oh, considerable," he said. "They're both good, or they're both different. The High Popalorum is made from the bark off the tree that we take from the top down. The Low Popahirum is made from the bark we take from the root up. The only difference I found between the Democratic leadership and the Republican leadership is one of them was skinning you from the ankle up, the other from the ear down, when I got to Congress. Homely sayings do not win elections." Well, sometimes they do. Yeah, right. Poor Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, especially within the last few years, has just been treated horribly by the United States. I mean, generally, it's treated horribly. And yes, it's a part of the United States. It's a territory, not a state. But, like, the hurricane that hit it a few years ago, and Trump's just like, it's fine. It's fine. Nah, it's fine. Just ignore it. Like, but they were hit harder by this hurricane than any hurricane in modern memory. Nah, fuck them. It's fine. Manuel Carlos, I don't know, assumes full control of Argentina. When Manuel Carlos executed it cannot be Carlos. There are no hard L's in Spanish. Executed a coup against Argentina's state on Christmas in 1935. The nation was torn apart in a vicious struggle for control over the presidency. LP and forces from the Argentinian Navy quickly took control of the capital, but were stopped by forces from the army who quickly began asserting their dominance over the entire nation, leading to a bloody and drawn-out struggle. With the fall of Rosario, a vital railway hub for the inner regions, Charles has proclaimed his coup a success and assumed the presidency this afternoon after a rousing speech for his followers in Buenos Aires. Promising vast territorial expansion and an end to the Red Terror that plagued Patagonia, he's met with a wave of enthusiasm. Yep. A wave of enthusiasm by the struggling peoples of his country. Will this stabilize Argentina? No. It's Carles? Really? Ya. Yo no comprendo español. I am embarrassingly a gringo. My mother was raised in Brazil, and everybody in her family speaks Portuguese fluently, except for me. But I studied Chinese instead, and I did horribly at it. The recent vote in the Legation Council has passed by a comfortable majority. It will now be implemented. There you go, buddy. Get your famine aid. Maybe. No? No famine aid. Okay. Go for it. Good luck. The great heat wave is over. People from Vancouver and Los Angeles to New York and DC let out a sigh of relief as the great heat wave in 1936 has come to an end. And now a cold front has spread over North America. It will come to be known as the United States' deadliest natural disaster of the 20th century, with an estimated death toll reaching 5,000. But even as the heat wave ends, a new chapter in American history is about to begin. Sound just like a Puerto Rico youngling. Really? Why is that? I'll take it. But I know, like, fucking next to nothing about actual Puerto Rican culture. I grew up with people who were Puerto Rican in, like, Indiana, so I would be interested in hearing why I remind you of that. Creation of the International Avant-Garde. A combined effort by the Commune of France and Union of Britain a few days ago has birthed the International Avant-Garde, a program with an E, mind you, because God forbid we spell this like the English or Americans do, that aims to create a united art style for art and genre, for music, as well as new literary techniques, each of them encouraged to be socialist, unorthodox, anti-traditionalist, and anti-religious. It's reported that artists, writers, and musicians from all around the world will participate in this program, from the United States, South Africa, to Japan. The first festival to show off fruits of the program is planned to happen within 2 years at Cannes. Is this the dawn of a new syndicalist entertainment? Oh, because I'm not speaking Spanish? Okay, fair. Yeah. That was the one thing I made a point to learn in Spanish is I don't understand Spanish because so many white people in this country, so many damn anglophones, rather than try to communicate to somebody else in their language that you don't speak their language, just say in increasingly frustrated tones, I don't speak Spanish. I don't understand you. And no, that was not going to be me. The least I can do is take a day to learn a sentence that's like, yo, I don't understand, and have my pronunciation be terrible, but at least if that much. Many Republicans and Democratic representatives have announced that this year will be their last year in Congress. Many retirees claim old age have motivated them. Rumors of gang intimidation by the SPA and AFP congressmen reminds many of the congressional brawl between Charles Sumner and Preston Brooks. The unprecedented rates of retirement has given hope to the AFP and SPA that they can win open elections. Hell yeah. Speako el Inglesho? That hurts. What is, oh, deal with the Great Depression's almost over. Yeah, okay, what's this? This is 11 days, 10 days left. I'm not going to be able to pass this. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pass the next thing. Ah, that's a shame. Well, we'll leave it hanging. Belgian Declaration of Independence. My God, Belgium's united? They normally split up. Sick of German oppression and the disaster of Black Monday, Belgian independence movements throughout the country have begun revolting and performing guerrilla strikes on the German army. Due to their own recovery, the German Empire has been unable to support Adalbert I to the fullest and have let the situation escalate beyond their control. After continued strikes by the Independence Army on the city of Mons and Antwerp, they were finally able to push the Flandern-Wallonian army back to Brussels where, after fierce fighting, the German king surrendered. With no clear answer yet from the German Empire, many feared that an independent Belgium might be short-lived, especially with tensions between the Empire and the Commune of France rising, and the strategic location, their country. Well, they're authoritarian Democrats. They might actually rejoin the Reichspakt if Germany doesn't declare war. We'll see. We'll see. Having their elections. Go socialists, you mad bastard. East Turkestan. Wow, okay, this is not a war I'm used to seeing. It's declared war on the Xinjiang clique. I didn't... Huh. Maybe I'm just used to ignoring this part of the country. I think that might be it, but... sure. Concentrated industry is done. Now, see, each of these would take 42 days, but this only has 37 days left. So... I'm going to pass this tariff act. Canada refused to repay their war debts, unsurprisingly. Thus, in return, our only option is to pass punitive tariffs on Entente goods imported into the United States. That will put some money into our coffers, though repairing relations with Canada will take a long, long time. And I don't know, when I'm playing on my own, I click through a lot of war declarations that don't immediately have anything to do with me, so it could be that this is fairly common, and I'm just used to clicking through. Fuel refining. Advancements in chemical cracking allow for better yield of light fuels from oil. If you know anything about America, we love our oil. Oh no! Ah, yeah, they joined the Reichspakt. Unsurprising. Canada has refused. Canadian government has responded to the demand with a flat refusal. The debt, they say, was never meant to be repaid until the home islands were retaken, as most were incurred by the United Kingdom, a government which is now in exile. Even so, their refusal has done its job. A government which is and fired up the isolationist elements of the American government. President Hoover's government has the support it needs at the cost of relations with the Canadians. Mechanical computing is done. Let's go for, oh, I don't know, basic fire control systems. We now have 2 transport planes. It's so bad. Our production's terrible. The Republican Party is actually the most popular one right now. How about it? Violence between the SPA and AFP. In a number of major cities, conflicts between supporters of the America First Party and Socialist Party of America have broken out in violence. Partisan fistfights and even shootouts are starting to become regular occurrence throughout the country as the country spirals ever deeper into chaos. When public corruptions are easier to counter, the enclave these radicals have cut out from the city blocks run on graft are harder to stop. We'll probably end up liberating Canada, but I think Canada will actually try to liberate us first. In the test game that I ran in this mod, or this version of the mod yesterday, day before, I don't know, time has no meaning right now. Canada has attacked the US every single time they've intervened, so I don't think we're going to have much of a choice. I gotta say, fighting off the entire Entente when you're still fighting off the other parts of the US in the Civil War fucking sucks. Not to mention the events that make rebels from the various American factions pop up in, like, the middle of your territory where you're all fighting in other parts of the country. Not fun. Not fun at all. And that's why we're building military factories. And, these areas for no reason. Let's see. Let's lower. Yeah, New Jersey and New York should still be at the bottom. Great, great. Yep, that'll work. Right, these are all the states that flip. Yeah, Minnesota and Iowa. Yeah, they'll flip. They'll flip. They won't be immediate, but they'll flip eventually. The real question is if we're going to go, what kind of socialist we're going to be. If we're going to go totalist. The last time I did this, and it's been years, a couple of years, I went totalist. I'm thinking of going syndicalist or radical socialist this time. America invades America, oil music stops. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the oil music is basically stopping right now. Let's see how our little buddy's doing. You know, they're not losing that much ground, but they're not gaining any. And they have a military factory. My God. They actually have a military factory. But they have a tenth of the troops, or a tenth of the manpower that King here has. They have 2.1 million. Jesus! Wow, the fascists are real good at militarizing. That's insane. That's insane that you have 2 million and you have just this. Just this and 2 million people. That's nuts. China's insane. It is still 1936. I don't want any of that. This I want, but it affects reinforcement rate, and I don't want the United States to have that. So now let's look at ship designs. Let's talk about boats. Yeah, let's get some better torpedo launchers and some better magnetic detonators. Larger diameter tubes allow for bigger torpedoes with heavier warheads. Mounting this on cruisers or light ships allows them to do significant damage to enemy capital ships. Magnetic detonators. New detonator detects the shift in the Earth's magnetic field when a torpedo passes under a target. An explosion directly under a ship causes much more damage and often breaks the keel of the target, sinking it instantly. I'm not going for airplanes because those are actually useful in war. I'm going for submarines because in a continental conflict, submarines do nothing. Well, next to nothing. They can block, I don't know, incoming trade maybe a little bit, but it's... And Poland destroying the Reichspakt. Wow. You know, they're not looking so bad right now. They haven't lost anyone. I thought they would. Yeah, they're losing over here. Yeah, okay. Wait, what? Did that actually pass in time? No, we ran out of time and it auto-completed? Right. Sure, whatever, sure. Now we could start focusing on War Department expansion. Now, let's focus on our Great White Fleet. The Great White Fleet was the height of American naval power. We should look back on it for inspiration. A great fleet of battleships and dreadnoughts will ensure we always have naval supremacy. Yep. Naval supremacy with our 0 boats. But hey, we have 439 convoy ships and 2 transports. The 1936 presidential election results are finally in from what was probably the most ideologically contested presidential election the United States has ever witnessed. None of the 4 major parties have secured enough votes in the Electoral College to outright win the presidency, and as a result, the House of Representatives once again has to vote on the winner of the election. This is probably not the end of our problems, but for the time being, victory goes to Jack Reed. Clearly the right candidate for the office, and there will be no consequence. A writer, a trade union leader, a senator, a journalist, and a syndicalist. John Jack Reed is many things. After the death of his predecessor, Alexander Berkman, a fiery radical socialist took the reins of the American syndicalist movement, and he has led the organization to great success. While this long path from journalist to president has brought him many enemies, it's also brought many allies. He's determined to become the American version of Sebastian Oye? What? It's French, that's why I can't pronounce it. The founder of the Commune of France. A charismatic, unifying syndicalist demagogue who will turn his country into what he perceives to be a perfect society. Yeah, Great White Fleet? Fuck it. We don't need that. Let's do President Reed. Bypass that. Jack Reed has become the first socialist president of the United States of America. The SPA does not, however, control Congress, and thus he will have a difficult time delivering on his promise and mending the exploitative relationship of labor capital. Why can I not do this yet? Oh. Dude. Fuck the fleet. Don't meet the requirements. He hasn't been inaugurated! Just go ahead and continue working on that. No problem here. Improve worker conditions. Weekly stability. No stability here, champ. Not for me. We're just gonna keep building factories in these specific states for no reason. No reason at all. The American First leadership have contested the results of the election. They claim that Reed's allies have rigged the election and demand a recount. Huey Long even gave a mocking speech accepting the presidency to his followers. Some murmurs from inside the AFP have reported that the Democrats that left for the AFP have expressed regret for losing this historic election. What a card. Lose 5 more stability. Just digging that hole. Nejd has capitulated. Nejd, the government, has gone into exile, and the main forces have capitulated to Jamal Shamar, who's now in control of their home area. Yeah, these are the Saudis. The Rust Belt just needs more jobs. Kumal Khanate has capitulated. The Ottomans are actually a lot of fun to play as. Most of the major countries are. Ireland is boring as hell to play as. They have some great events, but like, Jesus, look at this focus tree. It just goes on forever. And Ireland gets some amazing bonuses, but not a lot happens. You know, you sit here and not much happens. Is Nejd the Saudis? I don't know. This is Saud bin I think this is the Saudis, isn't it? Oh, you're right. Rashidi Arabia doesn't look super Saudi. Is it Unite the Arabs? Shit, I don't remember. You're right, I don't remember. I've never played Arabia in this mod. I just assumed because it was Ibn Saud. Yeah, no, he was from Najd. So, you're right. You're right. Najd is the Saudis. Hoover criticizes the president. Herbert Hoover has been vocal after the election and openly criticized Reed and the SPA as being unfit to lead the country. Hoover has encouraged both Republicans and Democrats to form an alliance to curb Reed and the SPA. He is irrelevant now. Too late. It's too late. Soon, Reed will be president. You know shit goes wrong when the focus trees for any of your elected leaders is 2 things long. Like, you may suspect there might be a problem. The Party Socialist Italiano wins the election of 5th Congress of the Socialist Republic of Italy has ended with the Partito Socialista Italiano led by Giacomo Dioti, achieving a majority of seats in the government. Their victory marks change toward a more moderate socialist syndicalism within the Republic. Moderate socialism? I don't think so. Are you still... Is your independence still guaranteed? No, non-aggression pact and military access. Teaching Alex about obscure Arabian states. Not just obscure Arabian states, ahistorical Arabian states. Because the union of... Well, Arabia is not unified, but the rise of the Saudis happened like in the 20s, didn't it? Right? Rise of power... Yeah, 1927, 1929. 1932 unified as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, so it's a little before this timeline. No gulags in Milan. Yeah. Republican victory in Brazil. While certainly not an unexpected result, confirmation has been made that the Republican Party will stay in power in Brazil, as it has since the start of the new republic in 1927. New president of the republic, Getulio Vargas, will be sworn in January, but has already promised to deal with a firm hand against the economic issues. You don't need to say economical issues. It's economic issues is okay, plaguing the country, and promises to do better for the common men of Brazil in his victory speech. However, Republican victory will not mean an instant end to Brazilian woes, and time will tell if this continued hegemony will have positive consequences. Yeah, a lot of things that happen in like the 20s or early 30s are just like pushed back to 1936 in this mod, because, I don't know, it makes it more interesting, lets you actually engage with it. Guangdong is fighting Guangxi. Wow, you can't even hold this shit together. Just everything's falling apart. Let's see. You are liberal. You are authoritarian Democrat. Great. It's almost 1937. But let's just keep talking about boats. Boats are good, right? Let's just keep researching boats for no reason at all. Improved capital gunnery. Power rammers increase the loading speed of heavy guns with automatic flash-tight doors. Improves safety. While automatic flash-tight doors improve safety, mounting heavy battery module increases a ship's heavy gun attack, improving performance against capital ships. Mounting medium battery module improves heavy gun attack, which improves engaging enemy capital ships. Okay, sure. When has Huey Longdong become warlord of Longdong? Longdong Huey. Huey will not last for long. I gotta say, New Orleans is one of the most annoying things in this game to take. The supply limit down here sucks. I've spent so many American Civil Wars just like waiting here for weeks and weeks as I whittle away at New Orleans. And I don't really look forward to doing it again, but Lord knows I'm gonna. Oh, I'm gonna do a thing here real quick. Just gonna... You know what the country really needs right now? Is a bunch of synthetic refineries. Me clogging up the build order so that the AI will get confused and probably keep some of these on instead of military factories once I lose control over the United States? No, that's definitely not why I'm doing this. I'm not fucking with the future AI. Come on, why would I do that? Why would I? I'd never do that. Not me. No. I don't even know if that's effective. Battleship development, clearly. Battleships are king of the high seas. We should start researching the new models with bigger guns, better anti-air protection. Young man talks about boats while civil war rages on in America. It's all fine. Let's talk about boats. Yeah, we What Americans really need to do right now is focus on our navy, not the deterioration of our society. Italian democracy survives. After months of terrorist acts, the ANI rocked the Italian Republic and caused many within the nation to doubt the government's ability to maintain order. A vote of no confidence was held in Milan today. If passed, many feared it would have signaled the Republic's collapse. But by the narrowest of margins, the motion was defeated. Prime Minister Giovanni Gronchi has announced from the steps of the government building that democracy in Italy... Oh, Milan. Okay, sorry. Wrong one. Democracy in Italy had survived its greatest challenge, and the Republic would live on. I'm like, these men, Giacomo... This is not the same name. This is not Giovanni. Wow, these are some great Italian names. Giovanni, Giacomo. Who do we have down here? Ferdinando III. I do kind of love that Tuscany is in the Socialist Republic of Italy. This is a great intersection of my Paradox title fascination. I love playing as foreigners and I love playing as socialists. Even though I can't pronounce Italian for the life of me. So, East Asia's on fire. Just the whole coast here is ravaged by war right now. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Reconcile with the KMT in Sichuan. Excuse me? There are KMT in Sichuan? No. East Turkestan has capitulated. Ruh-roh. An airport. Yes, build an airport. Unknown focus. Listen, I haven't been supplying arms to your competitors for no reason at all. We're all fine here. I can't roll back this... Ooh. Listen, the United States needs to disarm. A volunteer army? No. No army. There's no Luigi? Yeah, right. I lost it when I had a Luigi. Elected when I was playing Tuscany in that modded EU4 series I was doing. Just Green Mario, the best leader. A closed-powered mount for small caliber guns gives the crew some protection against the elements and shell splinters, but only some. Been stupid merchant republics in EU4 and libtard republics in Hoi 4. Well, in Hoi 4 they're vanilla Hoi 4 they're... We're gonna be Rome! Yeah, we're gonna remake Rome by invading Ethiopia. A historical part of Rome. Yeah. Tripoli and Ethiopia, definitely the most important parts of the Roman Empire. President Reed's inaugural address. The country's social problems have forced the American people to turn to radical solutions. The two-party system has broken down. Jack Reed is to be sworn in as the 31st President of the United States, with Norman Thomas being sworn in as the Vice President. In a stirring speech in Washington, D.C., Reed has pledged to defend the interests of the workers and to work to help revolutionize society for the good of all Americans. However, the SPA's slim majority in Congress means it may find it challenging to pass meaningful legislation, especially in the Senate, where the AFP has promised to filibuster any laws it sees detrimental to America. Let the people rejoice! Hitler won't even let you have the Adriatic coast. Yeah, and the, oh my god, what was it called? The, Pact of Iron was kinda stupid. You want to hire some naval people? No, I do not. No, thank you. Battleship development. Ooh, very exciting. Just gonna go over here in enact sweeping reforms dismantling business trusts and reducing the power of private banks to expropriate property must be passed, even if they have to be delivered via direct presidential executive order. Executive Order 7080. Labor unions. One of Reed's first acts as president is to enshrine the rights to collectively bargain into law. Unwilling to wait to overcome the Senate filibuster and citing violent conflict between the AFP and SPA paramilitaries, Reed passed an executive order that forced state and federal governments to recognize a union's right to exist and engage in collective bargaining, without exception, thus forbidding yellow dog contracts. While the unions rejoice, many in the country denounce the executive order as a tyrannical act of the executive branch. Yeah. Well, maybe you should have won the election. What are you gonna do about it, America? Overthrow your rightfully elected president? The bourgeoisie are furious. From New York to San Francisco, the rich and powerful have protested Reed's election in their Hearst newspapers and in congressional addresses. It's clear that the upper class is furious at the enforcement of Executive Order 7080 and have begun to radicalize against the SPA as a result. Let them shout. What are you gonna do? Some sort of business coup? Disregard democracy for capitalism? America would never do that. I'm sure this is fine. Opposition denounces Reed as a tyrant, though they agreed on little else. Democrats, Republicans, and America First parties have been quick to denounce Reed publicly across the nation for the enactment of Executive Order 7080, claiming it to be an overreach of the executive branch and the start of a slide into tyranny. Huey Long has gone so far as to vow to not follow any law that Dictator Reed imposes upon America. Long followed up by comparing President Reed to Vladimir Lenin, almost gloating that Reed would share Lenin's fate. Shut up, Long. FDR did a lot of things by decree. It's really interesting when rule by decree is good and when it isn't good. We've had excellent examples with the last 4 years in the United States of when it's just abhorrently bad, but FDR used executive orders to get around a very conservative Senate and House of Representatives. But it's ridiculous that it was necessary. Executive Order 7089, a halt on foreclosures, directing the Secretary of Commerce to temporarily take possession of and operate the facilities of certain financial companies. The inability to deal with the Great Depression has been the death of two major parties. It would be the death of the SPA as well, unless Reed acted quickly and decisively. Believing the corrupt financial sector was primarily responsible for creating and prolonging the Depression, Reed has moved to nationalize the banks of Wall Street to force them to act in the public rather than the private good. This includes stopping banks from foreclosing on bankrupt homeowners. A filibuster by Senator Roosevelt has forced Reed to resort to an executive order, appealing yet again to national security. While popular with the lower classes, many in the upper classes claim Reed is drunk on his power and well on his way to declare himself a dictator. The rich shall now pay. Oh hey, and capital ship gunnery is done. Well, we're done with this treat. I'm sure things will just stabilize and America will be fine. Let's just focus on, battlecruiser development. Battlecruisers present a middle balance between heavy battleships and faster cruisers. We should ensure that we have some in our Navy. Yeah, in that spirit, that's ahead of time. I don't really like mines. Now let's talk about damage control methods. Every member of a ship's crew, from captain down to simple sailor, must be able to help in containing and fighting fires aboard a ship. This is the important stuff. What could go wrong? Nothing, I'm sure. Everything's fine. the Cairo Congress. Leaders of many countries in the Middle East, from Iran to Arabia to Syrencia, have gathered in Cairo to discuss the Ottoman issue. Many predict that Egypt will dominate the Congress as she lays out a plan for the Middle East without the Ottoman Empire. However, time will tell if this is just sowing the seeds for conflict or for peace. I wonder where I've seen this before. Some sort of axis? Research the increased guillotine construction time? Oh yeah, first thing. Supreme Court hears out case on Order 7089. The Supreme Court has allowed the first challenge to Executive Order 7089, Standard Oil of California versus Paul Maddock, to be heard. This case is brought by Paul Maddock to argue Standard Oil's monopolistic power has overtaken Democratic power. The accusation of Standard Oil bribing Boston City Council is taken very seriously. The nation waits to see if Reed's power will be checked, or whether the SPA will continue to enact their agenda in defiance Senate. Gotta get those guillotines up fast, kids. Very, very important. Wow, we're working on 3 of these at a time. Great. Will I get another one done by the time the America Civil War II Electric Boogaloo starts? I don't think so. Directing the Secretary of the Interior to temporarily take possession of and operate the facilities of certain mining companies. Executive Order 7100. Nationalize minerals. The belief that public land was the public good is essential to maintaining left-leaning parties. The flagrant abuse of public land by mining companies had long been a source of deep bitterness for transcendent, goddammit, Alex, you know this word, transcendentalists. To most of Reed's cabinet, it was clear the private mining companies would be entirely unable to balance the needs of the public with their own greed, and moved to nationalize the drilling and mining companies, including Standard Oil, whose case against Executive Order 7089 was still pending. This has been seen by many as an attack against a political rival, and further confirmation that Reed wishes to turn America into a syndicalist state like the Commune of France or the Union of Britain. America's resources belong to the people. Who could argue with that? Oh wow. This recording's been going on for over an hour. I think I know where I would have put in a cut. Serbia crowns King Alexander II the Second. Since the Austrian occupation in the 1920s, Serbia has officially been a kingdom. Never dare crown a king, as they were forced to keep a low profile in light of further Austrian aggression. Peter Bojovic, leader of Serbia for almost 2 decades and a known royalist, has now decided to restore the monarchy. Alexander II, former King Peter I, has accepted the crown, and today was crowned as King of Serbia. This controversial move is likely to upset the Austrian and Bulgarian governments. It's fine. What could go wrong? I forget when MacArthur does his little trip to DC. Although Reed has shown no sign of concern over Standard Oil versus Paul Maddock in public, his administration is concerned with the conservative-leaning Supreme Court could rule 7-2 in favor of the capitalists and revert whatever reforms had already been put into place. Citing Lincoln's court packing during the Civil War as president, Reed has asked Senate Majority Leader Mayor London to remove the filibuster for judicial appointees, and has increased the size of the Supreme Court to 15. It's clear that he intends to appoint 6 pro-socialist justices to the bench, which will ensure his executive orders will remain constitutional. This has provoked a firestorm of protest, even from the left-leaning Farmer, Labor, and Progressive parties, which had up until now remained neutral or supportive of Reed. We must defend the workers, whatever it takes. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. That is something that the American government is capable of doing. Is just saying, 7 Supreme Court justices? Why not 9? Why not 15? This is a thing we can do. So when people are talking about, oh, we must vote for Joe Biden because otherwise we're gonna we're gonna lose a Supreme Court justice, and there's no way we'll ever be able to replace her within the next 20 years. Dude, yeah, it's super easy. You just load Congress and the Senate with a majority as the same party as the president, have the president go, all right, so Supreme Court, now is 9 people. And then you can just elect 2 more people who side with you on political issues. It's in the fucking Constitution. There's no hard set limit of 7. That's just something we all kind of agreed on and have been operating under. It's fine. It's not irreparable damage if the Supreme Court is conservative like it is now. You can always just expand it, or you can establish term limits on people in the Supreme Court. Nothing in the Constitution forbidding that either. Both entirely legal and don't necessitate voting for rapists. The Romanian Civil War. After the disastrous defeat in the Weltkrieg, the days of Romanian monarchy were counted. After the death of King Ferdinand I in 1927, the crown went to his grandson Michael, who was soon forced to abdicate and was being replaced by a military dictatorship. This autocracy was soon replaced by the Knight Italian rule of the Iron Guard. However, many people in Romania, most notably intellectuals, remain sympathetic to monarchists, especially Ferdinand I's son, disgraced son, Carol. A group of pro-monarchist officers have defected and seized control of Bessarabia. Oh, hold on, Alex. This is Bessarabia. This is Wallachia. Yeah. I'm like, hold on a minute. This isn't Bessarabia at all. And Moldavia is a stage of operations for a monarchist restoration of the country. Romania now falls into a bloody civil war, and no one knows how it will end. I'm sure it'll be resolved peacefully. It's fine. Violence against the SPA spreads. In the immediate aftermath of Reed's court packing, Long has come out aggressively against Reed, all but calling for an armed uprising. Whole counties and states, especially in the South, are refusing to accept Reed's executive orders as law, and there's been a massive increase in reported violent clashes between the Minutemen and SPA militia. Unless order is restored, the country is bound for civil war. The police should be helping the people. The police aren't there to help the people. The police are there to control the people. Siam seizes our factories. I've never seen this. New Siamese government has begun their national industrialization program, or industrial nationalization program, in order to help strengthen their economy. Our factories in the Kingdom of Siam have been wrongfully seized by the military junta of Premier Payak. Ooh, that's a name. Vivan Sonkram. He has, however, offered us monetary compensation for our losses. Well, at least they've given us compensation. Argentina passed a law that forces judges in the Supreme Court to retire at 75. That seems reasonable. Really, I think there should be like 10-year term limits, 5-year term limits for the Supreme Court, or at least have people cycle out. It's absolutely insane that we keep people in there for life. Like, oh, are you senile? Doesn't matter, you can keep the appointment. Are you dying? Do you have early onset dementia? Doesn't matter, you can keep the position. Why? Why? That's insane. Yeah, my country is just ridiculous. Yeah, being able to fuck with the Supreme Court is common in most countries, but in the US we act like it's this hallowed institution that we can't touch and can't modify at all, because God forbid we enact any sort of substantial changes in this country. Clashes between the Minutemen and police. Long's call for resistance against Reed had been interpreted by some militiamen as a call for resistance against any government agency. Police clashes with Long Minutemen have now become common throughout the country. Cities with strong SPA presence, members of the General Defense Committees, help the police restore law and order, but in the Deep South, Minutemen effectively have complete control. You're a Biden fan? Name 3 of his complete sentences. You know, the thing. My favorite are nothing fundamentally will change. We believe these to be self-evident. Oh, you know, the thing. And I have no empathy for young people. No, really, I don't. I'm not kidding. Yep, my favorite 3. Or, number 4, if I'm president and Medicare for All passes, I will veto it. Yeah, that's That's a candidate, all right. MacArthur marches into Washington. Reed's support in D.C. is finally bottom out. General Douglas MacArthur has marched into Washington, D.C. today to arrest Reed and his cabinet at the White House. MacArthur's marchers remind many of D.C. of Cox's army of 1932, except these men are motivated to preserve the status quo. Cox's army of 1932 was led by, oh my god, I love him. He's in this game. Smedley Butler. It was, wait, what? 1932 COX. Huxley's army. Wait. The Army of the Commonwealth of Christ. Its nickname came from its leader and was more enduring. Never mind. This isn't the one I thought of. Yeah, the one led by Smedley Butler, which wouldn't have happened in this timeline, was led by veterans of the First World War demanding that their pensions be paid in advance so that they would be able to survive the Great Depression. This is talking about something different. Favorite one is where he admits he called an African American a homophobic slur, but said he was sorry afterwards, so he's cool and hip. Or how he said he was sorry for the way that him sexually assaulting and then firing, oh god, I forget, it's Tara Reid, affected her career. Because, you know, that's he apologized for the, quote, misunderstanding and how it affected her career. Not for, you know, the sexual assault or, yeah, just good shit. Except these men are motivated to preserve the status quo and were cheered instead of booed. Having been tipped off by SPA informants and at MacArthur's command staff, Reed was able to stay ahead of the traitorous general and has escaped to Chicago. MacArthur has chosen to inhabit the White House, coordinate an investigation, and read from the executive chair. Civil war is imminent. My allegiance was to the Republic, MacArthur, to democracy. And we'll put in a cut right. No, it hasn't split off yet. Maybe it needs to be 24 hours. Well, in the meantime, it's very, very important that we research fire control methods. To hit the target, the first step is to straddle it by firing a few guns at a time till impacts hit on both sides of the target. Yeah, very important to do that first. Oop, here it is. President Reed escapes to Chicago. President Reed has escaped to Chicago and declared MacArthur as a traitor to all people of America. He has called for a great deal of support. His calls have gained a great deal of support in the Steel Belt. A number of governors have already announced they do not recognize the illegitimate authority of the current government. They've closed off their borders to American soldiers, raising a chilling specter of civil war the country experienced less than a century ago. Well, the revolution has begun. Let's stand by the workers. And fantastic place to put in a cut. I'm going to keep streaming, but if you're watching this on YouTube, till tomorrow, toodaloo, take care. Bye-bye.